The story of Emily Jean Schwarz is one that is almost too disturbing to comprehend, yet it is real, and every detail is part of a horrifying truth. It is a case that shocked her family, devastated her community, and left seasoned investigators shaken. At its core, a story about love turned violent, about warning signs that were seen but too often dismissed, and about the terrible reality of domestic violence that lurks behind closed doors. Emily's death was not just another crime statistic. It was the brutal silencing of a young woman who was vibrant, full of dreams, and deeply loved by those who knew her. And the way her case unfolded, from the lies told to her family, to the gruesome discovery in a camper van, to the dramatic trial, would expose just how far abusers will go to maintain control, and how devastating the consequences can be when victims feel they cannot walk away. The courtroom, inside the Burlington courtroom, the atmosphere was tense. Jurors sat upright, eyes focused, as they studied the man at the witness box. His name was Joseph Fazarow, the husband of Emily Jean Schwarz. He leaned toward the microphone, his face pale, his voice quivering. "I have one flash of memory," he said. "The fight, the explosions, and the hours after, but nothing more." It was a strange statement, one that seemed rehearsed, almost as though he wanted to portray himself as confused, as if everything had happened in some blur of chaos. But prosecutors and Emily's family knew better. This was not confusion. This was a cover-up. Chittenden County State's Attorney Sarah George stared at him with a cold intensity, holding his initial police statement in her hand. Across the aisle sat Emily's mother, Adrienne, her posture stiff, her face set with determination. She had promised her daughter that her story would not go unheard, and she was there to keep that promise. Who was Emily Jean Schwarz? To understand the tragedy, one must first know who Emily was. Emily was described by friends and family as unique, joyful, and fearless. She was the kind of person who would wear polka dot pants with striped shirts simply because she liked the colors. She would break into dance in the middle of the street when music played and laugh until her sides ached under the stars. She loved her pets. Her cat Oreo and her dog Remy were constant sources of comfort. She looked forward to summer trips to the beach with her best friend Lauren. Emily was also compassionate by nature. She worked as a licensed nursing assistant, caring for others, but her ultimate dream was to become a hairdresser. She loved helping people feel beautiful, even when she sometimes struggled to feel that way about herself. Emily was adventurous. She hiked, camped, and even rock climbed. She craved experiences and believed life was meant to be lived to its fullest. But as bright as she was on the outside, her private life told a darker story. Warning signs. Adrienne, Emily's mother, had begun noticing changes. There were bruises and cuts, sometimes explained away, other times brushed off with half-truths. Friends had witnessed heated fights between Emily and Joseph, arguments that crossed the line from emotional manipulation into verbal abuse. Emily sometimes asked for help, but more often than not, she went back to Joseph. It is a common cycle in abusive relationships. The push and pull of fear, love, manipulation, and hope that things might change. Adrienne admitted later that she had a terrible feeling about the trip Emily and Joseph were planning for their one-year wedding anniversary. "I stopped moving," she said. She felt it deep in her bones, a mother's intuition that something terrible was about to happen. Tragically, her fears were not misplaced. The anniversary getaway began in October 2021 in a camper van on Meadowbrook Lane. For Emily, it was supposed to be a time of celebration. For Joseph, it became a moment of decision. Prosecutors later revealed what had happened that night. Emily told Joseph she was leaving him. She was done with the fights, the fear, and the manipulation. That declaration shattered whatever control Joseph believed he still had. Around midnight, he turned off his phone. He walked to the closet, retrieved his Glock pistol, and attached a silencer. Returning to the bed where Emily was lying, he pressed a pillow against her face and fired 2 shots. Emily's life ended instantly. Joseph then placed a trash bag over her head and dragged her to the bathroom of the camper. And in a chilling detail that horrified the jury, he stayed in the van that night, sleeping beside her lifeless body. The cover-up the next morning, Joseph carried on as if nothing had happened. He had breakfast with his sister. He chatted casually, concealing the fact that just hours before, he had murdered his wife. Later that day, he went to Hannaford in St. Albans, purchased bleach, and returned to the camper. It was then that he took a serrated saw and several knives and began dismembering Emily's body. Investigators later determined he used at least 3 different cutting tools. He told himself it would make her easier to carry, easier to discard. Days later, he lied to Adrienne and David, Emily's parents. He told them Emily had stormed out after a fight, and that she said she was taking an Uber home. He even handed over her license, shaking nervously as though he were simply a worried husband. But Adrienne and David knew something was wrong. That night, they reported Emily missing. The confession, the unraveling came quickly. Joseph was riding with a friend, Spencer Lemons, when he broke down and confessed. "I killed my wife," he blurted out. Spencer was horrified. He pulled over immediately, kicked Joseph out of his Jeep, and dialed 911. When police searched the camper, they found the gruesome truth. Emily's dismembered body was hidden in trash bags in the bathroom. A gun, a saw, knives, bleach, and bloodstains told the rest of the story. The crime shocked even seasoned investigators. The calculated steps Joseph had taken, the coldness with which he had eaten meals and run errands while Emily's body lay in the van, painted a picture not of a man who snapped, but of one who planned. At trial, prosecutors meticulously dismantled Joseph's claims of self-defense. He told police that Emily had struck him, that she had kicked and punched him, and that he thought she had the gun. But his version did not align with the forensic evidence. The gun was his. The silencer was attached. The pillow was pressed against Emily's head. And the cleanup efforts, the bleach, the saw, the dismemberment, were acts of concealment, not panic. Sarah George pressed him in court. "You told police you went to get breakfast the morning after Emily died. But you didn't go to the police. You moved the van with her body still inside. Does that sound like self-defense to you?" Joseph mumbled, "I wasn't thinking straight." But the jury did not buy it. Emily's mother sat in the gallery, fearing for a moment that the jury might believe Joseph's story. But she soon realized they were connecting the dots. The evidence told the truth. This was not self-defense. It was murder. After just 5 hours of deliberation, the jury returned with their verdict. On December 13, 2024, Joseph Fazaro was found guilty of first-degree murder. Sentencing, the judge handed Joseph a prison term of 42.5 years to life. For Emily's family, it was justice, though bittersweet. Adrienne later said, "It was just a relief. We finally got justice. The only thing that could make it better would be to have her back." Emily's belongings remain with her family, who hold onto them as cherished reminders of the daughter they lost. The grief runs deep, but so does the determination to remember Emily for who she was. A joyful, compassionate, adventurous spirit, not for how she died. The legacy of Emily's story. Emily Jean Schwarz was more than a victim. She was a daughter, a friend, a dreamer, and a bright light in the lives of those who knew her. Her murder exposed the terrifying truth of domestic violence, that it can escalate, that it often hides in plain sight, and that ignoring warning signs can have devastating consequences. Her story is a call to action. It is a reminder that abuse is never acceptable, that love should never hurt, and that silence can be deadly. For those trapped in abusive relationships, Emily's story is a warning, but also a plea. Seek help, tell someone. Do not ignore the bruises, the fear, the manipulation. For others, her story is a reminder to listen, to believe, and to support victims before it is too late. The chilling case of Emily Jean Schwarz will never be forgotten. It is a tragedy that ripped through her family, shook her community, and now serves as a reminder to all of us about the hidden dangers of domestic violence. 3 years after her murder, justice was finally delivered when her killer was convicted. But for Adrienne, for David, for Lauren, and for all who loved her, the pain will never fully fade. Emily's name now stands as a symbol of joy stolen too soon, but also a symbol of truth breaking through lies. Her story proves that no matter how dark the crime, the truth always finds its way to light. Thank you for watching this heartbreaking true crime documentary. Some stories are so disturbing they leave even the most hardened investigator shaken, and Emily's case is one of them. Please like this video, comment your thoughts and subscribe for more true crime stories. Stay aware, stay safe, and always speak up for those who cannot.